This is StoryRobot. Welcome to r/pettyrevenge. Our first story of today is, never piss off the photographer. Never. I'm not a professional photographer, but friends and family ask me to take photos for them all the time. I love portrait photography and I'm happy to do the favor, but sometimes people are really awful, annoying, and then it really grates that I'm spending my weekend shooting and then processing photos for free. A few years ago I had a really bad client. A colleague asked me to do a family shoot on Mother's Day. I knew I'd have the morning to play with before going to see my own mum, so I accepted. It was going to be at a winery in the country, and my colleague offered to pay for me to join them for brunch. Bonus. We carpooled, and it wasn't until we got there that I realized that it wasn't just going to be my colleague, her husband and her kids. It was my colleague's husband's entire family: brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, parents, and even both grandmas. 27 people. I'm immediately panicking about how long it's going to take to do this shoot and mention to my colleague, C, and her husband, CH, that I have to leave in 3 hours to get back for my family Mother's Day. CH says it'll be fine. I don't really have a choice, as we carpooled, so I try and relax and have fun. Brunch goes on forever, and when we're finished we only have an hour for photos. I figure that should be fine, if cutting it close, and I ask for CH's help in keeping his family organized and moving. I plan out the normal shots with CH, everyone together, family groups, kids, and then CH starts asking for couple shots as well. Then siblings. I text my family, let them know I'll be a little late, but hoping it won't be too bad because CH will keep people moving. An hour and a half later and everyone is having a bad time. The kids are crying. It's taking forever to get any shots at all. Why? Because CH is yelling at people, hurling commands and orders, barking, foaming at the mouth. It's incredibly awful. The winery people come over a few times and ask us to keep it down. CH yells at them too. I'm praying that they kick us out. I try telling CH that I have to leave, that we can try again for photos another time. The family tries to leave. We are stopped. No. We must endure. When he tells his son that he's going to knock the snot out of him if he doesn't stop crying, something snaps in me. I stop trying to cheer people up, get fun photos, happy smiles. I just take the photos we need to so we can all just GTFO. When I eventually get home, I do what I can with these miserable photos. I combine different frames to get group shots where everyone looks happy. Where that doesn't work, I touch up facial expressions so people look less harried. I steal bits from candid shots earlier in the day. These are impossible masterpieces when I'm through with them. I spend hours and hours making sure these pictures are going to hang in living rooms forever. Then, I go through every single beeping photo featuring CH, absolutely every one, and, just enough to be slightly noticeable, just enough to look weird and awkward. I enlarge his head. Our second story of today is, wife took petty revenge on my mom. This past weekend, my mom visited me in Canada from Ohio to celebrate my daughter's birthday. We've been through several periods of no contact throughout my adult life because of these issues. Then eventually, I'd feel bad and let her back into my life. Then she starts the cycle of verbal and emotional abuse again and trying to cross any boundaries I gave established. She spent most of the trip lecturing everyone she could about Donald Trump and guns. None of my friends or in-laws up here are American. Everyone is pretty left-leaning just like her. I am also very left-leaning, but I've grown up with guns because my dad collected them and would go shooting with them occasionally. During one of these rants I made the mistake of saying I didn't really care too much about guns, but I enjoyed going to the gun range with my brother-in-law. I also said I understood why people want to own guns and felt like they needed them to protect themselves and their family. Oh boy. In my mom's eyes that made me some right-wing gun nut who was okay with school shootings. I wish I was being hyperbolic, but I'm not. At one point she said next time I went to the gun range with my brother-in-law that she hoped I heard the screams of the children at Parkland in my head. She also said she hoped my daughter was safe when I buy a gun. Over the visit, it became clear this is going to be one of those interactions where things are going to spiral into a tornado of craziness that will affect everyone's lives that are even tangentially involved in the fight. It culminated with us getting into an argument in the car and her canceling the whole visit. It would have ended there, but my mom came back to my house 5 times to continue the fight. I told her to leave several times before I called the police because she tried to force her way in and was making a scene in front of my house. She ended up checking out of her hotel heading home before the police could ever talk to her and tell her to stay off of my property. The next couple days, she sent me texts and leaving voicemails filled with insults and more nonsense about guns and Donald Trump. As if the crux of our disagreement was about guns, and not her beepy parenting or her refusal to get help for what I'm pretty sure is some kind of personality disorder. So yesterday, I was telling my wife about some of the texts and voicemails I had received from my mom, and my wife said to me, I did something bad. I asked her what it was, and she told me that she almost wrote my mom an email telling her off. Luckily, my wife said she was way too Canadian for an actual confrontation. So her revenge? I signed your mom up for every NRA and gun mailing list I could find. Our third story of today is, pretending to not speak English after we ask you to move your car off our property? Fine, we'll do it ourselves. Dad just told me this story tonight. Before my parents divorced, we lived in a 3-house neighborhood. Our neighbors to the left of us were friendly and we got along with them well. Our neighbors on the right, however, were different. It was rented out to multiple families, one of them being an Asian family with 7 cars. This is relevant. Always conflict with them, from 24/7 house parties to trying to break into our cars. The family always caused trouble for whatever reason. Dysfunctional and probably in debt with how many cars they had between 4 people. There was a particular tree on our property that my dad always parked his car under. It was obvious and known that was my dad's spot. One evening, my dad comes home to find the Asian neighbors had parked their car in his spot. A dead car that they didn't use anymore because they probably couldn't afford to fix it, so they decided our property was the best place to leave it to rot. My dad knocked on their door and asked them to move it so he could park, but the gentleman at the door said in a thick accent, "Sorry, no speak English, no speak English." Which was obvious bullbeep. My dad was not amused. He told them, "All right. Just move your car or I'll call someone to get it towed." 2 weeks go by and the car is still there. 3 weeks, they still haven't moved the car. My dad gets fed up. They may have 7 cars, but that didn't mean they could park on our property. My dad decided to take matters into his own hands. He rented a tow truck and waited for the family to be out of the house. Hooked up the car and drove it out to a random parking lot in the shopping center nearby and left it there. Next day, the neighbor came by. "Hey man, do you know what happened to my car?" Perfectly English, not a trace of an accent all of a sudden. Surprise, surprise. My dad played dumb about it. "I thought you couldn't speak English? Sorry, man, I don't know what happened to your car. If you moved it though, thank you, man. I appreciate it." Our neighbor couldn't do much because he didn't have any proof my dad did it. Didn't talk to us or park in our spot ever again. Our last story of today is, I'm going 10 over, still tailgating me. Here, let me show you something. I'm driving to work a few months ago and getting close. I have 2 turns remaining until I turn into the building. It is just a few blocks away. All side streets, no highways involved. This guy behind me is in a black BMW, and he is on my beep the whole time. I see him checking his phone, then making angry faces at me and getting closer and closer. I speed up a bit, thinking it might calm him down. 5 over, nope. Anyway, I make the first turn, and am now on the street where my building is, maybe 600 yards up ahead. The beep hole is still behind me, driving inches from behind me and obviously pissed that I am still going the speed limit, maybe 35 on this street, so I speed up a bit and see he does the same. I drive an 8-year-old Toyota truck, not one of the big huge ones, but not one of the small ones. I do have all-terrain tires, and I have certainly driven through pastures, over rocks, popped a curb or 10 in my time. My suspension is in good shape and have no problem treating my decade-old truck like a truck. Well, as I get closer to my building, there is a large speed bump in the street, effectively to get people to slow down as they approach the parking garage entrances. I look back and see beep hole still riding my bumper. I remember thinking to myself I need to slow down for this speed bump, and looking back and thinking, if I hit my brakes, this guy is going to hit me. The plan takes shape in my mind and I speed up. I'm doing about 45 when I hit that speed bump, and yeehaw. I did a bit of a jump and land, never once touching my brakes. Didn't even tap them. I gave him zero warning for what was about to happen. I'm watching my rear view window intensely during this because I wanted to see his reaction. He was cradling his cell phone between his ear and shoulder when he hit. His hood bucked up behind me, then slams to the ground. I see him go flying out of his seat straight up. He slams his head on the roof of his BMW and his head rolls sideways from impact. Then he slams back into his seat violently. He has a total what the beep was that look on his face as he grabs the wheel with both hands to recover. And yes, he slowed right the beep down after that. Thank you for watching. Error. Problem detected. Not enough subscribers. Please subscribe, like and comment.